I just got a new bag. Do you think it's too much? Actually, it's the new TempoKey W25 from Synido. If you want to find out more about it, stick with me. So Synido dropped their new TempoKey W25, their new Midi Keyboard, which comes with a few new things in addition to their K25 model. They refined their offering, but there are still some things missing. Even so, one thing they kept the same is the eye-catching look. Knowing that, let's start with the unboxing of a Synido device, which is always really flashy. You get a nice looking box with a bag inside that is shiny, bright pink and has the logo on it. It's a nice way to carry around your Midi keyboard, but will you actually use it? I will probably use my backpack when traveling. Moving on, inside the bag you can find 3 MIDI adapters from mini jack to 5-pin MIDI for the in, through and out on the back of the device. You can use these to control a physical synth rig. Offering these is a refreshing take on Synido's part. You know you have all the peripherals you need when buying the keyboard for every situation. Next, we have a good quality USB-C cable and a nice informative user manual. The device itself feels heavy, sturdy and well built. You can turn it on with the button on the side. The key feel is always important to me for these kinds of devices. They are not bad, but they do feel worse to me than the previous iteration of the TempoKey, the K25. The black keys don't feel as precise as the white ones and don't have the same weight to them. The keys as a whole are a bit wobbly. You can certainly say they are middle of the pack. Also, many of my viewers asked about key noise on my previous reviews, so I will let you be the judges on that one. The 8 pads have a nice looking pattern with a good RGB lighting. They are velocity sensitive and with aftertouch and have a nice feel. We can have 2 banks for different purposes. I personally would have liked the 16 pad format, but what you lack in pads you get back in other controls. 9 quality endless knobs that you can program as you like. Their shape and distancing is really good. You have space to maneuver and the grip is good for fine tuning. Next to them you have pitch and modulation wheels. You don't get that usually with a 25 key MIDI keyboard, so that is a nice touch. They have a soft rubbery texture and feel good when used. Button wise, you have the shift button that lets you use the knobs to dial in your arpeggiator. Next to it is a button that says sustain. You have the possibility to plug in the back a sustain pedal, but in case you do not have one nearby, you can use the button that acts exactly like that. This can be useful if you want to play a chord that spans for more than 2 octaves. You can start in the lower register and work your way up with the help of the transpose buttons. You have octave transpose as well as semitone transpose. I mentioned the arpeggiator, which works as intended. You can customize it as you like with the help of options like divisions, different modes the notes are played in, on how many octaves, swing, tempo and a few more. You can also set your scale so you are never off key, and can also use 1 key chords. The tap tempo feature is also present. Next, you have the pad bank and knob bank change buttons. You can also set the pads to function as notes, CC sends or program changes. Velocity curve change button is also here. One button that all MIDI keyboards seem to have these days is the Bluetooth button. You press it and you can connect it via the MIDI Berry and Loop MIDI way. If you're not familiar with it, I explain it in one of my older videos. I will leave links here and in the description. But something feels different, and I gotta say, the connection really surprised me. I sensed little to no latency when playing. This could be the best latency Bluetooth MIDI device that I have ever tested. Thumbs up for that to Synido. Now, make your own app that connects the Bluetooth device and you are off to the races. The leftover buttons are the transport controls that can send CC Messenger or MMC. Too bad they do not work in Ableton. You can use them for other things, but having reliable transport controls that work from the get-go with no extra steps is kind of important in my opinion. This leads me into something that I value highly. If you've watched my video where I talk about this, you know that DAW integration is pretty important to me. Unfortunately, this is not really developed here. Of course, you can make your TempoKey control your DAW, but after a lot of tinkering around. Even though this is the case, Synido invested into some software, and that is the app that you can download from their website. Here, you can customize everything you want about your keyboard. There is also a little twist within the app. You actually get some sounds to just play around with. There are 16 categories with 8 sounds in each. To my ears, they don't sound the best, but they are there and you can have fun with them. You can assign them to either the pads or the keys, but my biggest problem here is a noticeable latency when playing. This is something I didn't feel when playing in Ableton, not even when being in Bluetooth mode. I think a tweak is in order to fix this by Synido. The app also ties in with the central orange knob that controls the volume of said sounds. Next to it is the screen that is visible and is put in the center of the keyboard, where it should be. Screens in the corner are a little bit harder to keep track of. All in all, the Synido brand is trying to dish out better and better devices, more quality, and always with the nice flashy presentations. If you need a pad though for making beats, you can check out this device. Cheers!